Today's show is dedicated to one purpose, and that purpose is to help remove the myth of you not having enough time. Hi everyone, this is Enzo. Welcome to episode 4 of season 3 of the Race Driver Coach Show. It's time. We spoke about time. The normal thing I get, right? From drivers, from entrepreneurs, from people in normal life, whoever I'm coaching, their biggest hurdles or reasons that they're not succeeding, or excuses, dare I say, is they haven't got enough time. This is the question that inspired this episode. It's from Taylor, and he says, I know exactly what I want to achieve. I know I can do it. I have most of the money, but I do not have the time. What advice have you got for me? Thanks, Taylor, for that. This is a representation of so many questions. Probably 50 questions in my inbox are related to not having enough time. People are not sure of how to redesign their life, or even if it's worth redesigning their life so they can go for whatever goal they have. Whatever it is, their mission in life, their passion, what they think they really want. They really want to do it, but they've got to pay the bills. They really want to do it, but they've got to go to school. They really want to do it, but they've got to keep their family or parents happy, dedicating their time elsewhere, but they really want to spend that time on something that means something to them. But they haven't either got the guts or the know-how of how they're going to make all this work. Because there's only 24 hours in a day, right? How the hell am I supposed to? I don't think I've got any time left to chase my dream. This is a very common thing. This is something that we all face. Time is one of the biggest equalizers between all men and women and animals. We all have the same amount. And I don't mean our lifespan. I mean per day is 24. Per week is 168. 168 hours to do what you want. To design your life, to say I'm going to spend these hours doing what's important to me. And I'll do this much here, this much there, that much there, that much there. I am the designer of my own life. I have this many hours and this is how I choose. Remember that. You're choosing everything. You choose how to spend that time. You may say, no, I've got to pay the bills. I don't choose to go to work. I don't choose to go to school. But you do. It is a choice. There's always a choice. There's always another way. So first of all, just know that you're the one in control. You're the choreographer of your life, and you say how many hours you allocate to certain things. Your choice. And once you know that, just that alone, you can start to see how you plan out your day. And I want you to remember something now. We've all got 105 hours to play with during a week. Now I said there's 168, but I want to deduct a few things that are pretty hard to get around. The average person has got 105 hours they can actually dedicate to what they want to do, or what they need to do. This is the math. So we've got 168 at the top, right? Now I want you to deduct 7 hours per day for sleep. That's 49 hours a week that we take out. Okay? Next, I want you to deduct 1 hour per day for eating. That's 7 days a week. That's 7 hours, 7 hours per week that we've got to deduct from that 168 also. So 49 take out, 7 take out. Next, I want you to deduct 30 minutes for your bathroom time. Now, can you get it down to that? 30 minutes taken away for shower, going to the toilet, having a shave, picking out the nose hairs, doing your eyebrows, shaping. Whatever it is you do in the bathroom, can you get that down to 30 minutes per day? So that's 3.5 hours over the week. Okay, if so, let's just deduct that. And then next, it's 30 minutes a day for exercise. 3.5 hours a week for that as well. Now, this is different for everybody. Some people have more sleep, some people have less sleep. Some people eat faster, slower. Some people spend more time in the bathroom, and some don't at all. And other people exercise more and don't exercise, all right? So it's all different to most people, but what I've found is when I've asked people, this is the kind of average. If you can allocate these kind of times for the sleep, for the eating, for the washing and going to the toilets, or the waste disposal, and then some exercise, mental or physical or both, 3.5 hours a week, then that gives you a good baseline, right? You can survive off that. That's looking after the body and the mind. So that's 63 hours spent just on the upkeep of your body and mind. So let's just keep that going, right? So you take this 168 and you take away 63 and you're left with 105 hours to run your life. Now, if you do need more exercise because you're an athlete or you're a race driver and you need more fitness training, then that's going to come out of your 105. But just know that that 105 is pretty similar to everybody else in this entire world. If you think of Richard Branson, who's running Virgin, and they have something like 300, 400, I think, companies underneath the Virgin umbrella. How busy do you think Richard Branson is? That's a lot. Okay, he doesn't have to run every single company, but just being in charge of that many companies, being in charge of all the new ventures, trying to space travel or just under space and take people and give them the tourist experience of floating in space, that takes up a lot of time. He's still got the same amount of hours as you have. So you're complaining that you can't find sponsorship. You're complaining that you can't sell this product. Yet you've got the same amount of time to build your empire that Richard Branson has and had back in the day. Tesla, Elon Musk. He just got Tesla, SpaceX, and now he's boring under the ground to make tunnels. Also has 105 hours. They've got their 168. That's actually how many hours? 24 times 7. But then if we take out just the upkeep of the body, that's 63. They've got 105 left. I bet they sleep less than 7 hours. But anyway, 105 left to run all those companies. And they still manage it. Jeff Bezos of Amazon, same thing. Once you truly understand this, you will start to see that the way you've been hiding behind not having enough time is absolutely bullshit. It's not a very good excuse. If you see these people achieving loads more than you are, they're fitting more in the day, yet they've got the same amount of time, it's time to look at your life. It's time to think, okay, how did I spend last week? Or how am I spending this current week? And write it down. Just like a food diary, you write down what you've eaten and then you can see the result at the end and go, okay, I can see why I've got this kind of body, this body shape. Same with your time. As you go through this week, I want you to note down how many hours, minutes you're spending on certain things. Even if you only do this for 2 days and then just multiply it, so you say, okay, that's the average week, fine. But just take a look at it. Get really clear on how you're actually spending that time. Because you'd be surprised, and I've done this myself, you'd be surprised at just how much time you spend on this little bad boy, on the phone. It takes up, if you go through the settings, if you've got an iPhone or maybe it does on a Samsung or whatever you've got, a smartphone, if you look through the settings and it shows you how much screen time, how much time you've used that phone in the last 24 or 7 days, 24 hours or 7 days, it's shocking. Then it shows you how much time you spent on certain apps. And you can see that you probably spent 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours per week on a game. And then you tell me that you haven't got enough time. There's 5 hours there. If you spent them 5 hours pushing forward your career, your business, phoning people within them 5 hours who can help you get what you want, can you imagine just that little shift? Just using them 5 hours per week, how much more that would get you? It's amazing. It's mind-blowing. We distract ourselves more times than anything else. Nowadays, we've got distractions coming at us all the time. People, the phone, the computer, just doing stuff in life that doesn't matter, doesn't really get you towards your goal, jumping on the bike and going for a ride when you really don't need to. If you've got something that's really important to you, then it has to take priority, right? That's it at the end of the day. Everything else, remove. I've just done it myself. I had a game app on my phone that I'm getting carried away with, and I've spent money on it and stuff, and I was like, no, delete. It's only taking half an hour a day probably out of my day, should I say half an hour out of my day, got rid of it. Can you imagine after a month, after a year, how much that is to me? And I could spend it doing videos. I could spend it doing something that is actually going to help me go forward with my mission. I want you to do the same. Now, if you've got a job, say if you work until 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and you still want to be this race driver or entrepreneur or whatever it is that you've got in your mind, then it doesn't stop there. Say you come home, it's 6 o'clock, then you've got to eat, then you've got to look after someone in your family, maybe you've got a kid. So that gives you till then 9 o'clock at night is what you're working till really, when they go to bed. What's wrong with 9 till 2 o'clock in the morning? 9 till 1 o'clock in the morning. Just 3 hours spent on your career per day. If you're dedicated to this, make sure you got the energy, make sure you're eating well, because you can sleep off 5, 6, 7 hours, don't worry. But make sure that you always open up your mind to working at night, or waking up before, way before you go to work, and fitting in some hours there. If you're dedicated to this, then time is no excuse. And if you really don't have the time, but you're still dedicated to your mission and your goal and your dream, then maybe it's time to redesign your life. Maybe it's time to look at how can I earn the money, if you've got a job, how can I earn the money in less hours? So it gives me time to do this. How can I actually take a pay cut? Not buy that fancy car, not have this, not have that, and live off less. So I've got more hours then to put towards my dream. There's always a way around it. Or if you've got education, maybe I can take a gap year. Or maybe I can quit. There's always a way. It depends how dedicated you are. Your dedication, your obsession with your goal, with your dream, if it's big enough, you will find a way of how to make more time, how to shift things around so you can allocate the time it deserves, allocate the time it needs for you to get what you want. There is no reason here why you can't do this. Just remember the people like Elon Musk and Richard Branson that are out there and they've used their hours more effectively than everyone else around, because that's all it is really. They're not these geniuses that people like to put them on a pedestal. They've just dedicated the time needed. And they had the emotional energy behind it. The reason why they wanted that big goal or whatever it is they're going for was so powerful that they couldn't ignore it. It's so powerful that it overcame paying the bills. They just found a way. You've got to do the same. If you're serious about doing this in your life, whatever it is you have in mind, it's got to take priority. Yes, if you've got kids, you've got to give them time, valuable time, not just time being there and you're on your phone, so you're not really giving them valuable time. Yes, you've got to be with them, but kids don't want to spend more than 2 hours with you. They'll be bored of you by then, so then you start working. Hours. How are you going to use your 105 or 105 hours per week towards your goal, towards creating the life that you really want? Start to ask yourself this. Start to be sensitive to how you're spending your time, how you're distracting yourself and wasting time that's not taking you anywhere. Start to cut them things out. I'll tell you what, all of a sudden, you find out that you've got loads of time, more than you need. So please do this. Give yourself a mental diet, a time diet sheet, so you can see how you're spending it, take a step back, look at what needs to change, and change it.